Hello and welcome to my channel. This is part 2 sewing a Batgirl Utility Belt to use in a cosplay, and I wanted to share this. Normally my videos are about other art things, but I thought I'd share my sewing experience of sewing this utility belt. And yeah, I am completely hand sewing this because some settings got messed up on my sewing machine. So I was sewing it by hand, and that resulted in it being over 8 hours to make this one pouch, as well as so many finger pokes that my hands didn't feel right for a little bit. And it is after the Comic-Con, so I can share that experience with you. So Comic-Cons I've been finding are really fun to talk to other artists, as well as other writers and some of the authors that are there. So I find that it's really fun to get different perspectives, and I also enjoy looking at different comic art because I feel like it's so different than book illustration, and yet it's still doing very similar things. So I very much enjoy talking to the different people there, and definitely having those interactions are the highlight of any time I go to a comic convention. Now, while we were there, one of the main reasons we went is because my boyfriend is a huge Power Ranger fan, and the second Yellow Ranger was there, Karen Ashley, and I absolutely loved the panel that she did. It was definitely one of the highlights, just from all the different stories, all the behind the scenes stuff. It was really interesting, and I will say, if you do get a chance to hear her talk, she is incredible. You don't even have to be a fan to enjoy listening to her. And one of the things that I really enjoyed that I took away from the experience was something that she talked about when her and the 2 other Power Rangers that were brought in all together because drama, other things, whole situation, and showbiz. Anyway, they were switching out 3 Rangers and adding 3 new Rangers. And she was one of them. And she was saying how nervous and anxious she was, and that she had a choice, either to feel anxious and be nervous, or to focus on the fun in the situation. And she chose to focus on the fun. And I really loved hearing her say that because, and again, this wasn't a direct quote, I'm paraphrasing, but focusing on the fun is something I needed to hear because there's been a lot of things that I've been putting too much pressure on myself lately that I completely forgot about the fun. And the fun is why I started doing it in the first place. So just hearing that sort of gave me that reminder of, yeah, you need to focus on the fun instead of your anxiety that you're having, which is very difficult. But I basically have been telling myself every single day since that Comic-Con that writing is fun and editing is fun because it makes your writing better. And it's been going a little bit better. Definitely editing a novel is definitely the hardest part. And I will say, for me personally, I do not always enjoy the experience, because when you're editing something, especially if you're feeling proud of that first draft because you accomplished something. This was what I'm working on right now, was the first novel that I partly planned. Normally I'm what's called a pantser, and I do not plan anything. I might have a beginning and an end and nothing in between. This one I actually planned out very loosely. There was still a lot of on the fly seat of my pants. That's why you get pantser. There was still some of that, but it was more controlled. So that was really helpful. I will say the one interesting thing about this Comic-Con was that I was noticing a lot of communication barriers, and it might have just been anxiety, tiredness, as well as communication differences. I've said in my videos before that I'm autistic, and it really doesn't mean that we're any lesser. It just means that our brains function differently, and we also communicate differently. There's been studies in which neurotypical people do a line of phone where one person whispers to the next person down the line, and you see how it forms and changes. And there was better communication with neurotypicals and better communication with neurodivergent people, but when it was mixed, there was communication issues. I've actually played a picture-based version of that telephone game with people, and there was definitely, I could tell that sometimes the person before me was neurotypical and the person after me was neurotypical, and the person after me really struggled understanding me. The person before me was my boyfriend, and so I can understand him more, but it was definitely weird trying to have that communication differences, and I saw that happening a lot. So there was a couple times. Honestly, the weirdest one was this person dressed up as Bane came up to me and had a muffle thing, and I could not understand him, and I couldn't process. He was trying to play it off as I had a Batgirl thing, which he interpreted as Batman, and trying to do a play off of each other, banter, but I couldn't understand him, and then my brain got stuck on, I'm not Batman, I'm Batgirl. I have communicator earrings on, which is something that Barbara Gordon invented and has been used in a couple different iterations with different Batgirls. So I was like, I have earring communicators. I was wearing makeup, and it was trying to make it very clear that it was more Batgirl. I mean, I was wearing a dress and everything, but my brain could not go past the, I'm not Batman, I'm Batgirl. I'm not Batman, I'm Batgirl. And then thankfully my boyfriend ended up coming in, rescuing me from that awkward situation that I really just wasn't dealing with well. And speaking of misunderstanding different costumes, I did make two people's days because I recognized their costumes and got really excited over them. Oh my goodness, the second one was definitely the coolest one for me, but we'll go with the first one I saw, because this person had told me they had just started going to Comic-Cons, and I was so glad to make their day because they were saying no one understood their costume, and I immediately understood it was a Doctor Who reference to the silence and in the show, to keep track of the silence, because the moment you look away from the silence, you forget about their existence. And so to keep track of how many silence they see, they were putting tallies all over their arms and their faces. And so this person had put tally marks all over themselves, and I immediately got the reference. And because I did that, they were so happy. The other costume, they had made a Stephanie Brown spoiler costume. Now, Stephanie Brown, if you watch my other one, is one of the Batgirls. So for the difference between her spoiler costume that I've seen and her Batgirl costume that I've seen is just the addition of a bat. So very recognizable. And this girl had told me that she had been mistaken for Raven so many times, and just for the fact that I knew immediately that she was Stephanie Brown, she was so happy, and absolutely was fantastically done. This costume was beautiful, and she had done a fantastic job, and I really wish she would have gotten more recognition for it, because it was fantastic. I took a picture of her because it made me so happy, and I really enjoyed it. I forgot to ask if she was going for just spoiler or Batgirl. I know she said she didn't quite finish it up, but even so, it was fantastic. And so that was some really fun stuff. In addition to that, I wanted to go back to the miscommunication thing, as I got distracted thinking about those. Those were some of the highlights. But there was a comic book legend, I can't remember his first name, Steranko. My boyfriend said that he was really big in making, I can't remember the character. I will ask him when he gets home and it'll be on the screen. But I was trying to talk to him and just have a conversation. I asked him a question and you could tell he didn't understand it, and he almost was starting to say he didn't quite understand it, and then he just went into just trying to answer it. And then I was trying to say something I had seen in recent comics and was trying to compare it to old comics, but I couldn't remember the exact comic, because even the same characters, apparently there's like 2 different Harley Quinn series going on at the same time. But even though I was trying to say it's not the main line, it's this other Harley Quinn line that's based off of the Harley Quinn animated series, that it was miscommunicated, and it was really awful because, of course, my brain blanks on names. I mean, oh, I thought of it. Nick Fury. I'm pretty sure he's known for Nick Fury. Hey, that went a lot faster. Normally can take like 3 days for names to pop in my head. But yeah, it was just really frustrating that there was this communication issue, because I was trying to ask something and talk, but there was just a really hard communication issue, and it ended up being that I just said, okay, we can't really understand each other. Bye. And that sometimes happens. I mean, at least it wasn't as bad as a college professor of mine, even though I rephrased the question so many times. He kept answering the same thing, and we went on for 10 minutes before he finally understood me. Communication can be really, really hard. And that was something that I saw at this Comic-Con. Just so many people that I communicated well with, so many that I didn't. I mean, there was one author that communication was okay, and then another author I talked to, awesome communication. We talked so much, super helpful, gave me a resource no one else has. Love talking to that author. So yeah, it was definitely a fun weekend that I had at Comic-Con. So here it is, the final pouch. Does it look professionally made? No. I mean, you could tell that I did this. It probably would have looked a little bit nicer if I would have had access to a sewing machine. But in a way, it also sort of looks like whoever made it just was like, okay, I need something functional. I am just going to try doing this on my own. And that's basically what it is. It's going to be functional. This is the pouch that my phone's going to be in next time I go to a comic convention, and then the next time after that. And if I go from a more casual outfit to a more cosplay outfit, it can be a utility belt right away. I have it all set for everywhere in between. And of course, I'm still finding threads that got stuck to it. So yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I mean, for the fact that the snap is not getting stuck, it's easy. I'm not finding any strain on any of the threads because of how I sewed it. I love this fabric. I mean, and yeah, there's room for my phone and a little bit extra in there if for some reason my next phone ends up being bigger, which hopefully I won't get a new phone for a while. I mean, yeah. Yeah, after what happened to the old one, I do not need a new phone anytime soon. Again, like, I'll put in the card or down below what happened to my old phone. Yeah, I absolutely love it. I think it's going to be awesome and something really convenient, and I will be also making one for my wallet, and potentially in the future there might be a third pouch. Who knows? All I know is I do not want to make another one for at least a week. And I have, I think, 4 weeks before the next comic convention that we're going to be going to. So I'm really excited because I will be able to see an artist who worked on a Batgirl run. So I'm really excited for that. Crossing fingers. Hopefully they won't cancel, because sometimes presenters cancel and it happens. Anyway, I do love this. And then also something fun about it is, okay, if it's onto the belt perfectly, that's going to be so awesome. And so it will be right there, easy to grab. I mean, especially if I'm wearing something that doesn't have pockets, this is awesome. And I'll have more than one outfit I can wear this with. So I'm super excited that I finished this, and it turned out pretty good. I'm very happy with it. But yeah, definitely took a lot longer than I remembered, because I thought it would take double the time of using a sewing machine, and it more took 4 times or maybe even 5 times as long. But hey, it's functional. I know it's secure. I mean, I could have made it a lot less finessed, because I mean, I did binding here. 99% sure it is called binding, wrapping this fabric around. But I did the binding here, insides, here. I wanted to make something that could last. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video along with all of the fun facts I was sharing. If you can't tell, I am definitely in a comic, I don't know, I have cycles of what my special interest is, and I'm in a cycle in which it's a lot of comics and Batgirl in addition to everything else. So yeah, this was really fun. I hope you enjoyed all the fun facts, and I really hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing, and I hope you have a bat-tastic day. Bye!